Theater, Van Jones, joked about the horrific slaughter of literal children in the Gaza Strip. And this was during an episode of Real Time with Bill Maher. Bill Maher, by the way, huge defender of Israel, tends to think that all Muslims are dangerous extremists. So you kind of get a sense of the environment in which...
So in this clip, Anna Kasparian is going to drag Bill Maher and Van Jones for their disgusting statement that was the so-called joke that was made on the Bill Maher show by Van Jones, where Van Jones was dancing. Okay, where Van Jones tried to do the right thing, I guess, for his handlers. I'll just be nice. Van Jones was really disgusting on the Bill Maher show. Bill Maher laughed as well. People are not happy about it. Van Jones got dragged. Let me show you the original statement, and then we'll...
But isn't part of that because we had to fold everything into critical race theory, and somehow the Middle East became part of,
I see it differently. And I love this conversation because I think people, those of us who went to college, give a lot more credit to college courses for how the world works than I do. This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby,
right.
Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. Like, that's basically your whole feed. So that's not DEI. That is a geopolitical adversary that is deliberately trying to divide the West against.
Even Bill Maher actually wasn't as disgusting as Van Jones. The person who performs is always going to be worse than the person hosting them, though Bill Maher is pretty bad, Bill Maher's self. But so Anna Kasparian is not wrong about what Bill Maher, about Bill Maher. Sorry, real quick, I just wanted you guys to see, because Van Jones did... I'm sorry, I ran into it. I don't usually do this with you guys, but the question that the whole world is asking, when Van Jones F's his mistress, does he wear the yellow ribbon? I'm hollering. I would ask it a different way when Van Jones is getting handled, but I'll just leave it there. Van Jones got dragged up and down to, I think, I can't, where's this guy's Twitter, bro? Like, I mean, because he had to turn off he had to turn off the comment section. He's been saying sorry for, but he hasn't even been back on Twitter since October 5th. Wow, this is great. Look, he turned it off. Oh my gosh, they erased the comments. This is crazy. Maybe they got comments on this one. They let you see it. Yeah, people, we didn't misunderstand. Hope you. Yeah. So yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like, every comment you go to, it's so ridiculous, y'all. Sorry, I'm putting y'all through this. Okay, we're gonna get back to Anna Kasparian, but yeah, like every single comment, like not even one, Jewish person. They didn't even send a bot to come save him. I mean, that's just Jesus Christmas. So there's that, right? And by the way, this is not AI. All right, so let's get back to Anna Kasparian. I just wanted to give you guys the update and the context.
Van Jones made that statement. Now, Jones has since apologized for some of his remark, but that wasn't good enough for Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen, who addressed the bigger issue with what Jones had to say. And we'll get to that statement in just a minute. But first, here's what Jones said on Real Time. Quote, Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you're a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. That's basically your whole feed. Now, let me just pause to say that it's not a disinformation campaign that there are a bunch of dead Gazan babies, because Israel has leveled the Gaza Strip and killed, at minimum, tens of thousands of innocent civilians. And again, I really want to emphasize the at minimum part.
Yeah, very much at minimum, because there are people that they bulldozed and put and tossed away, from the rubble. I want to also emphasize that Van Jones went on Bill Maher and told a lie, because he has no evidence to even prove that there's this misinformation campaign by Iran and Qatar. for two reasons. Well, number one, he just doesn't have the evidence to prove it. Somebody should ask him to prove what he said. Okay, what Van Jones said. Number two, Van Jones, I don't know. I guess Van Jones isn't really a journalist. In what world does Iran and Qatar work together? Okay, you see what I mean? Like, this is how they disrespect the American people. They say two Muslim type of, like, you know, regions, and then it's like, oh, they must be getting along together. Van Jones was better off just saying Qatar or Iran, but not both of them together. These two nations are pretty much kind of like opposed to each other. Qatar is an ally of America and technically the West. Iran isn't, okay? They oppose each other. Not all day long. They oppose each other, all right? And that's just the bottom line. The GCC countries are not with the IRGC. It's just that simple. And I don't get paid the big bucks to know that. But Van Jones does, and he went on there and purposely lied to Americans. This is why I can't stand any of them.
So maybe it's not a disinformation campaign. Maybe it's the reality on the ground. And why do you take issue with the public knowing about the reality on the ground? Nonetheless, the next day, Jones apologized for what he said on X. Here's an excerpt from his post. The suffering of the people of Gaza, especially the children, is not a punchline. I'm deeply sorry it came across that way. What's happening to children in Gaza is heartbreaking. As a father, I can't begin to imagine the pain their parents are enduring, unable to protect their kids from unimaginable harm. Now, Senator Van Hollen did respond to that apology, saying the following. I'm glad Van Jones apologized for his sick joking about dead kids in Gaza, but the problem goes deeper. He spread Netanyahu propaganda that the mass killings of civilians in Gaza, including 20,000 plus kids, is Iranian fake news. He also cited Qatar, by the way, which is a U.S. ally. I noticed that there's been more and more rhetoric that's meant to like pit the U.S. against Qatar, but let me just continue. It's not the students and young people who are fooled, it's Van Jones. And I completely agree with that take. In fact, it's the Israeli prime minister who has outright admitted that he seeks complete control of TikTok and X, and yet pro-IDF mouthpieces are running with the Qatar line. So I'll give you more of that in just a minute. But Cenk, you know, Van Jones, he's hit or miss. You know, sometimes I agree with him. Sometimes I deeply, deeply disagree with him. You know, we've had relatively friendly relations with him, but I'm curious if you think that his apology was adequate enough.
No, I'm not worried about the apology. And this is not just a disagreement. I think this is worse, and it's a little heartbreaking. So let's dive into the details. So he does the joke, ha ha, funny Gaza, dead babies. Thomas Friedman and Bill Maher laughed their ass off. Like, the dead babies. Imagine if they were dead Jewish babies.
Thomas Friedman actually didn't laugh in that clip. So I hate to do that. I mean, maybe later on he did, but not in the clip that we watched.
Dead Jew baby, dead Jew baby, dead Jew. He did he, dead Jew baby. What would happen? Van Jones' career would be over instantly, right? It's over. Don't please tell me it wouldn't be over. Please make a fool of yourself and tell me that. Of course, everybody knows it would be over. You can't do that, for Israelis or certainly Jews in America. And maybe, and I think you probably shouldn't be able to for Jews. For Israel, you can say anything you like. But for Muslims, who cares? Who cares? Who cares about their stupid Friedman and Maher laugh, right?
I didn't see Friedman laugh like that. I didn't, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong person, but that doesn't matter. Cenk is absolutely right about Van Jones, about the fact that Van Jones can say that and probably get his career catapulted. Except for the fact that Van Jones is now scared of public life. I don't want, we don't want anybody to harm Van Jones, okay? We don't do that. But Van Jones has been humiliated, and Bill Maher is not running to Van Jones' defense. Bill Maher does not care. Bill Maher has tossed Van Jones to the side to take this one all by Van Jones' self. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.